Hello.
Hi.
Good morning, afternoon, or pre-noon.
Whatever time it is for you, since you're the special one.
You're so special. And I've come very far over the internet highways and byways to bring you some bullshit about D&D.
And I'm here too.
Welcome to Summon Greater Podcast. We're going to do something I don't think we have yet done on the podcast today.
What's that?
Introduce ourselves. I'm Sam.
And I'm Skyler.
And it only took us 12 episodes to do that.
Yeah.
I think.
Now that you're all sick of us, nice to meet you.
We have some interesting stuff that we want to go over today.
Boy, do we.
One of us has been looking at OneD&D stuff, and the other has been playing Baldur's Gate.
Nonstop. Unapologetically. I can't stop. Please help.
At least you're not doing it alone, brother.
It's true. My wife is playing with me. We have completely and royally fucked up our first run.
No, really? What do you mean?
We killed on accident, just not like we actually killed them ourselves, but through our actions, several of the prospective companions have died.
Well, that's not good.
No.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, we missed a few really, really cool things back in Act 1. We missed some really cool things back in Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in Act 3. And just kind of winging it. But it is still so much fun. I cannot get over how exciting that game is at every turn.
Hell yeah. Good. Before we get to any of that, we've got a few people we want to talk about.
Yeah,
we're calling them out by name. And the first one is Ratchet.
Ratchet
from Ratchet and Clank. I landed on something pretty easily. What do you think it is?
Artificer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Tabaxi Artificer.
Ratchet. Tabaxi. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now I was having a hard time making a decision between Tabaxi and the Kitsune, which is not official material, but like
everyone loves Kitsune.
Like,
I shouldn't say everyone. Some people hate it, but
some people hate it just because it's not official content. And I think that's a less than valid opinion.
I agree.
Because this is a homebrew show.
Yeah, I agree. I really do. And also Pathfinder made it official. So what are you waiting for, Watsy? Come on. Catch up.
Give me cute fox people.
Carefully.
No.
I mean, hey, some people hate Kitsune. Some people love Kitsune. Some people love Kitsune.
Some people are the same with Tabaxi. This isn't original.
No, it's not. Some people are the same with every race in D&D that's not human.
Do you think anyone like really, really loves Gith?
Yeah, man. I'm playing Baldur's Gate.
Okay. That's fair.
No, the real question that I have is, do you think anybody's getting it up for Lokatha?
Skyler, you've been on the internet.
I've been on the internet.
Now, there's a rule out there. I'm not going to say which one, but that aside, have you heard of Vaporeon?
Man, it's not quite the same, but it's close enough that the internet thinks it's the same, and I hate that.
Yep, that's where I'm coming from here.
But anyway, back to Ratchet, as we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Things got Vaporeon weird.
So homie is for sure an artificer, but he could be. Oh my God.
Oh?
This is potentially a much larger segue than we're prepared for, but we were just talking about this new subclass in the OneD&D playtest currently called Brawler.
Oh, dude.
And it has the option for mastery with improvised weapons.
Yep.
And that's more Ratchet than anything.
I was going to say, that's I feel like that fits so many of the like early 3D animated game characters. And that's not to say it takes away from Ratchet, but like the other thing that popped into my head was Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh.
For Brawler.
Oh, maybe. Just by the manner in which Banjo uses Kazooie as a weapon, I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
I think that's totally valid. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that makes perfect sense for Ratchet too.
Uh-huh.
That's so cool.
That's really funny. Man, we're gonna talk about that subclass a little more later, but I really do think that's a good fit.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a single thing that we can like debate about that either. Like, I think that is what Ratchet is.
I think what's up for debate is how much Artificer is there. Like what are the levels of the multi-class, you know?
Yeah. Because I think he needs at least 10 levels in Artificer.
I would say so, yeah. Yeah.
I think the real debate comes in like, do you go like 15 and 5 with Artificer and Fighter? Or maybe even just 10 and 10?
Yeah, so I think the higher of the two would be Artificer because guns, right?
Yeah.
And also like he knows his way around machinery such that he would be an Artificer, but also he really knows his way around machinery and he can build some really crazy stuff to the point where we're looking at a decently high level Artificer, I think.
Yeah, especially with like the infusions and everything.
Yes. Yep.
To that point, what subclass of Artificer do you think you'd be?
Oh, hell. You're asking the tough ones.
Yeah. Oh, Battlesmith.
Battlesmith. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm. Turrets and things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds like Ratchet.
Yeah, that's him.
15 levels of Battlesmith Artificer and 5 levels of Brawler or Fighter. Yeah, Brawler Fighter.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Clank, though?
Clank. I know far less about Clank. You're gonna kill me. We just had a whole conversation about Ratchet. I've never played a single one of those games.
Hey, that's fine. Neither have I, but I've listened to I've listened to several friends of mine go on and on and on about the games.
That's fair.
Clank is
he like a sentient gear thingy?
Very much so, yeah. He's easily a Warforged.
Okay. That's what
that much is for sure.
Trying to figure out.
I don't know if you can even assign a class to him.
What does he do in the games?
I know he can turn into shit sometimes.
Wait. One of the Artificer infusions is a homunculus servant.
Oh.
What if Clank is the homunculus?
Clank would not love that, but he is.
I mean, hey, he never said they had to enjoy being the homunculus servant. Or maybe he's the like the walking turret. Battlesmith creates turrets and things. Sentient turret? No.
I think he's on a different level. He's more sentient than that.
Okay. Homunculus is maybe closer.
I think homunculus fits.
Yeah, because I mean that just begs the question: which came first, the Ratchet or the Clank? Did Ratchet make Clank?
No.
Okay.
No, Clank showed up. Just out of nowhere.
He's just a Warforged NPC.
He's got lore, but he's like. I can't believe I'm making this comparison. Have you? We talked about VeggieTales a little bit the other day. Do you remember? Do you remember the toy that saved Christmas?
Yeah. Buzzsaw Louie.
Clank is that a little bit like one of
utility
thousands that just gain sentience of its own, kind of. He's a glitch in the system.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Who have you got for me?
I have a completely different direction.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to Star Wars.
We're going to Star Wars. This is fun.
Anakin Skywalker.
Okay. So Jedi are monks. Like, this is well established. However, Anakin is like barely a Jedi.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think there are some Jedi that Monk would fit very well for, specifically Yoda. But
okay.
Anakin,
So it could be a blanket, but there are some whose personality it fits better than others is kind of your angle.
Yeah. I'm kind of looking at this from the perspective of like their combat style, how they interact with people, things like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Anakin strikes me as an Oath of Vengeance paladin.
He sure is that. Uh-huh.
Oath of Vengeance paladin with maybe a few levels of barbarian.
My first inclination with him was Battlemaster Fighter.
I could see it. I think
Rage is too appropriate, though.
Yeah. I think I like barbarian better purely for the fact that the Constitution-based armor class increase, I think it fits Anakin.
Well, it fits Darth Vader also.
Yeah, that was going to be my next thing. Darth Vader, I think, whatever we take from Anakin, all we do is Vader has become an Oathbreaker.
Okay. How do you figure?
That was my first impression there. Was the Oathbreaker was the change. I guess technically it could stay Oath of Vengeance.
So,
but
I think you're right, actually, but I don't think that the switch happens when he becomes Darth Vader. I think it actually happens much later in his life. Probably around or before the time that he reveals himself to Luke.
I was actually going to say probably around the time he discovers that he has children.
That is a good point. That's a good point because have you read many of like the novels, whether they're canon or not at this point in time?
Sadly, no.
So kind of a theme that I noticed in many of the ones I was reading while growing up was that he despises Palpatine. Like he just hates that guy so much. And I think, even after the Disney acquisition, a lot of that sentiment probably remains canon within the character. Even if some of the books I read don't, after he's gotten vengeance for both his mom and then Padme later, he sort of begins to realize that he's been manipulated this entire time. His way to get out would be by killing Palpatine, but he knows he's not strong enough to do that. Later, when he hears he has a child, at least one, he goes, oh, maybe there's someone who can. Maybe I can train them to be someone who can do so.
Oh, no. I just figured it out.
What do you think?
So we're on the money with Paladin Barbarian multi-class, but it's not Oath of Vengeance.
No?
It's Oath of Devotion.
Oath of Devotion.
Because he grew up dedicated to the Jedi way, the Jedi Council, this, that, and the other thing. He became an Oathbreaker when Shmi died.
There's an idea.
Because that is when he started really actually separating from the Jedi Council and the Jedi way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because vengeance is a huge part of his character. I feel like that is very specifically limited to Attack of the Clones.
Which is vengeance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the other thing, though, with Oathbreaker, the specific aura that Oathbreaker paladins get is called Aura of Hate.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah. And it gives them a bonus to melee weapon damage rolls equal to their charisma modifier.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I think is probably the most thematically Anakin Skywalker thing.
That really is. Yeah. That is a much better fit. Now that you bring that up.
Especially like seeing the eyes change and like the sand people slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, having that be like the activation of the aura of hate.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. No, that's a good call. I like that. Damn.
Yeah, the only thing I'm not sure about is how much barbarian would he take? And if he took enough to get a subclass, what subclass would it be?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to parse that out too.
I don't know if he would even take more than 2 levels of barbarian though.
That is true. It's sort of just flavor for him.
Yeah, and barbarian is one of those classes like we talked about so long ago with multi-classing. Barbarian is one of the most overpowered multi-class classes because you get unarmored defense and rage at first level.
Yeah.
So unless you have something that you want to get to, there's not really much point in going beyond first or second level in barbarian. At second level, they get reckless attack and danger sense.
They do. Hear me out. What do you think? What do you think about Berserker?
I could see Berserker.
I think that's the one that I could justify.
Yeah,
because there are instances in extended universe stuff of Vader going on what I would say are Berserker runs.
Yeah,
You know, like Order 66 period.
Yeah. But the other thing, another counter argument to that, even taking us back and taking away all levels of barbarian and going straight paladin. If he goes Oathbreaker at 20th level, the level 20 Oathbreaker ability is called Dread Lord.
Oh my god. That's such okay.
Come on, Lord
give me
Vader.
The description.
Come on, Lord Vader. At 20th level, the paladin can, as an action, surround him or herself with an aura of gloom that lasts for 1 minute. The aura reduces any bright light in a 30-foot radius around the paladin to dim light. Whenever an enemy that is frightened by the paladin starts its turn in that aura, it takes 4d10 psychic damage.
Oh, gee.
Additionally, the paladin and creatures he or she chooses in the aura are draped in deeper shadow. Creatures that rely on sight have disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures draped in this shadow. While the aura lasts, the paladin can use a bonus action on his or her turn to cause the shadows in the aura to attack one creature.
Oh my god.
The paladin makes a melee spell attack against the creature. If the attack hits, the target takes necrotic damage equal to 3d10 plus the paladin's charisma modifier. This is giving me Rogue One Tantive 4 hallway scene.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah. It is by flavor.
Yeah.
I think some of the abilities as a part of that feature are, you know, a little fantastical even for Vader.
Well, I don't know about that.
No.
Force choke.
That's true, but it's like an active thing. Like that's an action to do that, you know.
That's fair, yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right. The problem is there are so many really, really cool abilities that could fit Anakin or Darth Vader.
I think we keep finding more. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for the most consistent Anakin build, though, I like the idea of doing high level Oath of Devotion broken into Oathbreaker, Paladin, and then do a couple levels of Barbarian, maybe spec into Berserker.
Yeah, I think the rage is just necessary.
Yeah.
I would say 2 base for Anakin.
Yeah. The other crazy thing about rage is that you can still use Divine Smite.
Oh my god, man.
Technically you can't cast spells while you're raging, but Divine Smite, you just use the spell slots.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That's so good.
But yeah.
What a guy.
Speaking of the OneD&D subclass for Ratchet over there.
Yes. We can talk about Brawler, dude. So this is a new fighter subclass that Wizards is testing in the newest playtest of OneD&D.
Mm-hmm. This is the
playtest 7 at the time of recording. So let's get into that a little bit. Brawlers focus their training and study not on swordplay and battle tactics, but on the skills needed to turn a punch or kick into a brutal strike and any innocuous object into a deadly weapon. Some brawlers thrive in tavern scuffles and street rumbles, while others excel in espionage, wielding ordinary objects with the deadliness of an assassin's knife. Well, let's get into the features. At level 3, you get Unarmed Expert. You can roll 1d6 plus your strength mod in place of the normal damage of your unarmed strike. If you aren't holding any weapons or a shield when you make the attack roll, the d6 becomes a d8.
That one's really cool because that has up until now, well, actually it came out recently, but it was in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It was a new fighting style that you could take, was the unarmed fighting style.
Yeah.
And it did that. But I kind of like that it's just part of the subclass.
It is interesting as a subclass. I'm torn on, having this not be a fighting style, if that ends up being the case anyway. They just turn the fighting style into a subclass.
If that's the case, though, I think it could be kind of interesting because it opens up, you can then pick a different fighting style.
I know, but what if I really want to be a barbarian that punches things?
I see.
Or throw this on Way of the Open Hand Monk.
Well, it's not the most useful on monks because monks use the martial die or monastic die or whatever.
They do, but the higher damage dice would be nice for unarmed strikes.
Yeah, it's only useful at low levels though, because at higher levels, the monk's unarmed strike dice goes to D10.
That's true. Yeah.
Barbarian is where this would really excel.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're trying to add in a new fighting style.
If you want to make the Hulk.
Yeah. I guess the real question becomes, are they going to remove unarmed fighting as a fighting style because it's part of the class? Or are they just going to let you take unarmed fighting as a style in other subclasses?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I'm not sure. Did I get through all of that?
Yes.
Okay. Also at level 3, you have Improvised Expert. You are proficient with improvised weapons. Whenever you finish a long rest, choose one weapon property from the one-handed list and one from the two-handed list. So from one-handed, you may choose light or thrown. And then from two-handed, you may choose reach or thrown.
That's kind of crazy that you can choose thrown for a two-handed weapon.
Isn't it? That is really neat. And a little scary.
That's super fun.
We are going to get a little bit more into weapon properties later because that's not really a thing in 5e.
And not to the extent that it is.
Not to this extent, yeah. Until the end of your long rest, the one-handed choice applies to the one-handed choice applies to the one-handed improvised weapons you wield, and the two-handed choice applies to the two-handed ones. In addition, whenever you attack with an improvised weapon, you can give it one of the following mastery properties for that attack, depending on whether it can be wielded in one hand or two. For one-handed, you can pick Sap, Slow, or Vex, and for two-handed, you can pick Cleave, Push, or Topple. Again, we'll get into these a little bit later.
Yeah, the mastery weapon, or the weapon mastery properties, weapon masteries. They're all kind of cool.
I really, really like them a lot. Gotta say. At level 7, you have Grappling Expert, where you can make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. When you use unarmed strike in this way, you must choose the grapple or shove option.
Oh, that's sick.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. I think that's really exciting, especially for me, having been playing as much Baldur's Gate as I have, realizing just how useful the shove action is.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do that as a bonus action in Baldur's Gate, right?
Yes, yeah, it's a bonus action in Baldur's Gate.
I think they were probably thinking with this class, of that, like should we incorporate that? And then maybe in playtesting they realized, oh, not all the way. Like we should make that specific to something or a feat.
Yeah, that's something that I think it continues to escape me just how much the Wizards of the Coast, like Dungeons and Dragons development team worked with Larian Studios.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because just as you read through these documents, you find stuff that's in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, it wasn't just a one-way street. Like it was, they took stuff from Baldur's Gate and they said, okay, we're going to try and implement some of this. Mm-hmm. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really neat. In addition, at the start of each of your turns, you can deal 1d6 bludgeoning damage to one creature grappled by you.
That's part of the same level 7 thing?
Yes, that is the same thing. It continues on the next page here.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. At level 10, so yeah, you like get someone in a headlock and then like punch them in the liver a bunch of times, That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. This is something that like we had the grappler feat for a long time and it was cool, like thematically, super cool.
Yeah.
But there was never really a good build that you could slot that into where it felt useful.
This is that build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't even think you need the grappler feat for this build. Like, it just kind of does it itself.
Might not, yeah. At level 10, you get Dirty Fighting, where you have advantage on attack rolls made with improvised weapons and unarmed strikes against a creature grappled by you.
Oh my gosh. This is just the ultimate you meet in a tavern and a bar fight breaks out.
It really is, yeah.
Who's throwing the chair?
Dude, you do not want to be across the room from this guy when he picks up that chair.
Literally.
Worst possible scenario. Also, this is Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop.
I haven't watched Cowboy Bebop.
You will love it when you do. At level 15, you get Improvised Specialist. You are a master at making the ordinary deadly. Whenever you hit a creature with an improvised weapon, you can add your proficiency bonus to the damage roll, and the damage die of your two-handed improvised weapons becomes 1d12.
What?
In addition, whenever you attack with an improvised weapon, you can use 2 mastery properties from Improvised Expert instead of 1. That's
insane.
So silly, man.
So now that chair that you're throwing across the room does 1d12 damage.
Yeah, and is going to knock someone over.
It might knock multiple people over.
It might, yeah. Yeah. At level 18, you get Unarmed Specialist. Your unarmed strikes improve to a d8. If you aren't holding any weapons or a shield when you make the attack roll, the d8 becomes a d10.
Yeah.
Very cool and good.
This whole subclass is I do one thing and I do it damn good.
Yep. Yep. Now that gives me pause a little bit because I mean it's doing a lot. I feel like it should be doing a little bit more.
Well, here's the thing that I always forget with fighters. They get almost double the amount of feats that other classes do.
Oh, that is true, isn't it?
Yeah, so the fighter subclass that you pick kind of just tells you what your combat style is going to be.
Right.
The feats are kind of how you build your character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. And also, as I'm thinking about it, like, Grappling Expert is really good.
Yeah.
Like, so good. And also, I might start to feel differently about this when we start reading through the weapon properties list again and mastery properties.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we do that?
Well, here's another thing that I was going to talk about, though. Specifically, when we were talking about the conversations between Wizards of the Coast and Larian Studios kind of being a two-way street.
Yeah.
There is a new subclass in playtest number 7 that is a subclass that's already in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
It is. They've made some changes to it, but they have officially adopted the name Path of the Wild Heart Barbarian.
That's right.
That's page 5.
Thank you.
So this is the update to what used to be I think it was Path of the Totem Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
The one where you could get like your bear totem and things like that. So yeah, this is their update to that. At level 3, you get Animal Speaker. You can cast Beast Sense and speak with animals as rituals. Wisdom is your spellcasting ability for them. You can only cast them as rituals. You don't have any spell slots or anything. Also at level 3, you get Rage of the Wilds. Your rage taps into the primal power of animals. You gain one of the following options of your choice. Whenever you gain a barbarian level, you can change your choice. Bear. When you activate your rage, choose 2 damage types other than force or psychic. You gain resistance to the chosen types until the rage ends. Eagle. When you activate your rage and as a bonus action while it's active, you can take both the disengage and the dash action. Wolf. While your rage is active, your allies have advantage on melee attack rolls against any enemy of yours within 10 feet of you.
So your allies get that.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here in just the level 3 abilities. Obviously, for all of our bear totem barbarian stands, I'm sorry. You're losing your glorious resistance to everything except psychic damage. It's cool. We all love it. DMs everywhere are probably breathing a sigh of relief. You still get to choose 2 damage types whenever you rage, which I think kind of makes up for it. Because if you're going into a battle, you can kind of scout out what types of damage are being used. And then when you rage, you can just cherry pick a couple.
I was going to say, yeah, this is a little bit like a homebrew item I brought up in a very early episode.
Oh, yeah, the ring.
Uh-huh. Yep, where you scout out like what type of damage you're about to take. This is that to a much higher degree with 2 damage types.
Yeah.
For a whole battle.
Mm-hmm. Well, for the whole rage.
For the whole rage, excuse me.
Yeah.
I tend to conflate the two because typically my barbarians have rage for the entire battle and then it's done because they've wiped the floor with everyone else.
For sure. And then Eagle is really cool too. The other thing about Path of the Totem Warrior Barbarian as we currently have it in 5th edition, Bear Totem is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what any of the other totems are?
No, sir.
I don't either.
Okay.
And I don't think anyone else does either. There's maybe like Eagle.
I've never seen this used.
Yeah, like Eagle and Elk, I think are a couple of the other ones. And I think they like help you with your like sight. I think Eagle gives you like advantage on perception or something. And you can see up to a mile, and Elk lets you like knock people over.
I'll help you out here. Elk, your travel pace is doubled, and the travel pace of your companions when they're close to you. It's basically just a travel thing exclusively, which a little underpowered. I can see why they removed it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Eagle has a lot more to do with sight in the original. I can see why they changed this.
Yeah. And I mean, this goes back to a conversation we had a while ago again about how Dungeons and Dragons used to be more like an adventure board game.
That's super true. Yeah. Because what I'm seeing in here with this aspect of the beast feature is what it used to be. Still is ? What is it called now?
Rage of the Wilds. Yeah.
This now is much more defined to your rage. Oh, hold on a second. I skipped over this completely. Aspect of the beast happens in tandem with the rage effects. So let me talk about the rage effects. So bear used to be, you have resistance to all damage except psychic. That's just 5e. Okay, Eagle was other creatures have disadvantage on opportunity attack rolls against you.
Okay.
And you
So
can
not
take
bad.
dash on a bonus action on your turn.
Okay.
Elk was your walking speed increases by 15 feet. Not bad, but I wouldn't pick it over anything else here.
Right.
Tiger is while raging, you can add 10 feet to your long jump distance and 3 feet to your high jump distance. Again, okay, but I'm picking bear over that.
Right.
Or eagle, even.
Mm-hmm.
Wolf was your friends have advantage on melee attack rolls against any creature within 5 feet of you that's hostile to you.
Okay, so basically they took bear, nerfed it a little bit. They took eagle, buffed it a little bit, and they took wolf and buffed it a little bit. And they just said no one's using any of the rest of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because eagle now says when you activate your rage and as a bonus action while it's active, you can take the disengage or dash action, which is just objectively better. Because the original one, enemies had disadvantage on opportunity attacks against you. Now you can disengage and they just can't make opportunity attacks against you. And also being able to use dash if that's what you would prefer to do. And wolf just extended that threatened aura, basically. In the original, it was hostile creatures within 5 feet of you that allies had advantage against. Now it's within 10 feet. So I think this is a really good start to evening out the playing field for the new Path of the Wildheart Barbarian.
I agree. I think it's less options for both Rage of the Wilds and Aspect of the Wilds, but I think it's appropriate in both cases.
Yeah. And I mean, like, yeah, it's still good. It's still very good.
It's still great, dude.
And that's only up to, like I said, the level 3 abilities.
Yeah.
So moving on to level 6, we have Aspect of the Wilds. You gain one of the following options of your choice. Whenever you gain a barbarian level, you can change your choice. Elephant. You gain proficiency in athletics or insight. If you already have proficiency in the skill, you gain expertise in it instead. That makes me very happy. I love having options to gain expertise if you already have proficiency.
Yeah.
There were too many instances in 5th edition where they would say, if you already have proficiency in this skill, choose something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, elephant, you gain proficiency in athletics or insight. Owl, you gain proficiency in investigation or perception. Again, if you already have proficiency, you gain expertise instead. And spider, you gain proficiency in stealth or survival. If you already have proficiency, you gain expertise instead. This is really, really good.
It's
for barbarians.
Great. I want more expertise in more places.
Yeah. And honestly, just more opportunities to gain proficiencies as you level up. Because barbarians, I think, of all of the classes, usually wind up with the least amount of proficiencies.
I don't know that, but I could see that.
It's felt that way to me. And obviously my opinion is all that matters in this case. We're not taking any professional opinions into account here. If I think something's not good, it's not good. But yeah, just really love the different options for playing your character. And the fact that you're able to switch these out with every level up is super cool. Because it means that you can be a modular barbarian. You can specialize in something for a little while, and then when you gain more power, you can specialize in a different direction.
Yep.
And it makes you useful out of combat. Something barbarians sorely need.
Yeah. I just had a role play thought about, like, if I were to do something like this, I think this would be a fun subclass to play as part of a sibling pair with another player, where they play a druid.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Man, that would be fun. Yeah. Especially with the next ability that the barbarian gets at level 10.
Oh, yeah.
Nature Speaker. You can cast Commune with Nature. Only as a ritual. With your wisdom is your spellcasting modifier for it. Commune with Nature's a pretty good spell. It's nothing to scoff at. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
I got it.
You got
You
it.
briefly become one with nature and gain knowledge of the surrounding territory. In the outdoors, the spell gives you knowledge of the land within 3 miles of you. In caves and other natural underground settings, the radius is limited to 300 feet. The spell doesn't function where nature has been replaced by construction, such as in dungeons and towns. You instantly gain knowledge of up to 3 facts of your choice about any of the following subjects as they relate to the area: terrain and bodies of water, prevalent plants, minerals, animals, or peoples, powerful celestials, fae, fiends, elementals, or undead, undead influence from other planes of existence, buildings, and buildings is the last one.
Nice. That's a lot.
It is so many things and good choices to be able to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that this isn't limited to like, oh, once per long rest. You can just cast this as a ritual.
Yeah.
If you've got 10 minutes to spend, you just plop your ass down in the grass and you can tell people, oh, there's a portal to the Fey realm 2 miles from here.
Yeah.
And everyone turns and looks at you and goes, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that.
Also, like, how does Big Man know that? What's he up to?
The mushrooms told me.
That's right.
But yeah, then there's one more ability at level 14, Power of the Wilds. You gain one of the following options of your choice. Whenever you gain a barbarian level, you can change your choice. Lion, while your rage is active, any of your enemies within 5 feet of you have disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you or another barbarian with this feature. Falcon, while your rage is active, you have a fly speed equal to your movement speed, your walking speed, provided you aren't wearing any armor.
Uh-huh.
Holy shit.
That's a little terrifying.
Yeah.
Flying Barbarian is...
Uh-huh. And then the last one is Ram. While your rage is active, when you hit a large or smaller creature with a melee attack, it must succeed on a strength saving throw. DC is equal to 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your strength modifier, or they gain the prone condition.
Mm-hmm.
I think Falcon is probably the one that's going to be chosen the most.
Is it?
I really do.
Yeah?
A lot of people have this obsession with fly speed in D&D.
Yeah. The thing is, like, you gotta doff armor completely.
Well, but barbarians don't wear armor.
Barbarians don't.
Because it's the Constitution armor class.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be either Falcon or Ram that gets the most use out of these 3. Being able to knock people prone is pretty useful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. If it were me, I'd... Oh, fuck. I mean, I want to say I'd pick Ram, but I sure don't know.
Well, and it also depends on your party, too.
It depends on your party, and it depends on what the good flavor is for your character.
Yeah.
In my opinion, anyway. That's how I play mine.
Yeah, I love it when people do that. Like, yes, you can... I'm not even going to use the word metagame. You can strategize your character to, like, combo off in multiple different ways based on the abilities that you chose. And that's amazing. More power to you. That's so fun to watch. What is also very fun to watch is a character who takes a less optimized build because it fits with what their character wants, what their character is doing, the path that they're on spiritually, mentally, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the most beautiful things you can see in D&D is someone embracing their character beyond a sheet of paper, beyond numbers to optimize.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Path of the Wild Heart Barbarian, which is currently the name of the subclass in Baldur's Gate. So I was kind of excited.
Oh, they did change it for Baldur's Gate.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's Path of the Wild Heart in Baldur's Gate. So I was excited to hear that was in the playtest.
Yeah.
When I saw that.
No, this is awesome. Does it function exactly like all this?
No.
No.
I think it's similar. There are a lot of mechanics that were that received minor changes, and some mechanics received major changes, just to fit better into the like the MMORPG type of play style.
Yeah.
So yeah, for as much of Baldur's Gate that is purely based off of D&D 5th edition, there is a decent amount in there that I have had to look up on the Baldur's Gate wiki because I was like, this isn't in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
What do I do? Whose idea was this?
Yeah, and my favorite part about it is that usually those turn out to be really, really cool mechanics.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are like buffs and debuffs that you can just acquire in combat. So, yeah, props to Larian Studios for taking D&D and going, we're just going to tweak this and add a little bit of this, and there you go. Now you can have it.
I love so much the moments that you've talked with me about a little bit where you're like, oh, yeah, it should be that way. What the hell? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah. There were a couple other things in the OneD&D playtest that you wanted to talk about. You mentioned the weapon properties before.
Yes, I did. All weapons in the weapon list, in the weapon tables, have certain properties. Now, this isn't new. We are familiar with one-handed, two-handed. They don't specify one-handed, but you get me. We're familiar with finesse and light and heavy and all that. I think we had light and heavy before.
Yes.
Yeah. But some things are a touch different. One of the newest things in this playtest version is the changes to heavy. This is something. Oh, yeah. Ooh. This is something that we discussed a few episodes ago, maybe like 3 or so, where when we talked about the big tower shield in Glory of the Giants, we were kind of, theorizing like what would be a better way to go about this, because just anyone can use that, right? If they can use shields, they can use that shield. Yeah,
like having a difference between light and heavy shields, kind of a thing.
A heavy weapon is unwieldy compared to other weapons. You have disadvantage on your attack rolls with a heavy weapon if it's a melee weapon and your strength score isn't at least 13, and if it's a ranged weapon and your dex isn't at least 13.
That's
what I wanted.
Now. Yeah. I remember now because we said that we thought heavy shields should have a strength requirement.
Exactly. And that is what that shield should have.
Absolutely. That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wizards of the Coast, for listening to our podcast and taking our advice. Clearly it's you can all thank us.
Oh man, it might be more of a great mind sink alike kind of situation.
Yeah, and so do ours.
That's what I'm saying. When you let's talk about light. When you take the attack action on your turn and attack with a light weapon, you can make one extra attack as a bonus action later on the same turn.
Ooh,
that's a big change. That's not tied to any extra attack feature of any class or subclass. That's just the weapon. And you don't have to have mastery of the weapon to do this. It's just action, bonus action. And I think that's fun because at lower levels for quite a few classes and subclasses, you don't have a ton of things you can do with a bonus action. So if you're, wielding a light weapon and for many, many levels, you don't have anything at all you can do with a bonus action, you're getting 2 attacks. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's really nice.
I think it's fun. If you take the attack action on your turn and have a short sword in one hand and a dagger in the other, each of which has the light property, you can make one attack with each weapon using your action and a bonus action, but you don't add your strength or dex mod to the damage roll of the bonus action unless that modifier is negative.
That's a lot.
It is a bit.
Short sword in one hand, a dagger in the other.
It's just an example that it's giving.
Oh, I see.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. It's nice that is now attached to the weapon property. Because like it was cool to have that as like the ability from multiple other different locations, but specifically the fighting style. But like, yeah, attaching it to the weapon itself is kind of what we needed.
Yeah, it's good. I like it quite a bit. Thrown, Thrown might be different. You can tell me. If a weapon has the thrown property, you can take you can throw the weapon to make a ranged attack, and you can draw that weapon as part of the attack. If the weapon is a melee weapon, you use the same ability modifier for that attack roll and damage roll that you would use for a melee attack with the weapon. Is that different? Because I sort of don't feel like it was that way before. I think I'm wrong, actually.
That one is the same.
That is the same, because you could totally just throw a javelin the same way you'd use it anyway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For example, if you throw a hand axe, you can use your strength, but if you throw a dagger, you can use either your strength or your dex, since the dagger has the finesse property.
Yeah. So it basically just means if the weapon has the thrown property, whatever is its normal stat you would use to attack with it is just how you throw it as well.
Not sure anything is different there, but I feel like the difference in like the finesse property thing there might be an addendum. Not totally sure.
The difference between strength and dex thing?
Yeah.
No, that's in the original.
Okay, we don't have to talk about that then. So let's move on to mastery properties.
The fun ones.
This is what I wanted. Each weapon now has a mastery property as shown in the weapon tables above. There are weapon tables here that are on page 45 of this playtest document, which I will link in the description. That property is usable only by a character who has a feature such as weapon mastery that unlocks the property for the character. So that is important to remember. Here are descriptions of each mastery property. Let's talk about cleave. You need a melee weapon with the heavy property for this one. If you hit a creature with a melee attack using this weapon, you can make an attack roll with the weapon against a second creature within 5 feet of the first that is also within your reach. On a hit, the second creature takes the weapon's damage, but don't add your ability modifier to the damage unless that modifier is negative. You can make this extra attack only once per turn. This is neat. I have kind of always felt like there are some weapons that should have an arc range, and this isn't that, but it is the perfect compromise in my opinion.
Yeah, like they need to have some sort of a follow through, because like I've always wondered what is the difference between stabbing with like a glaive or swinging it.
Yep.
And like in my head, I was like, hey, if I swing this thing like around me in a circle, I'm probably going to hit more than one person, even though that technically only counts as one attack. So I like this because that means that I can do my crazy optimized fighter build with polearm master and sentinel and all that crap.
Yeah.
And then I can also take weapon mastery and get cleave on my glaive.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, this would have to be a feat, but it's like, I feel like maybe if my big dumb barbarian has a big ass club and they swing it through the tavern, like they're going to hit more than one person, more than likely,
Yeah, probably. And that's also, don't forget, you don't have to only gain feats at level up. You can talk to your DM about using some downtime and just learn some shit.
Yep.
Or maybe your DM is really cool and you go through a battle or something traumatic or something really cool, like just a brief little hangout day, and they just tell you at the end of it and they go, you got a new feat. Here's your thing that you got.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they're thinking about their tables just compulsively, as we tend to do. And they hit you up with, hey, I think your character probably has this because it makes way too much sense.
This is a very deep rabbit hole that I'm going to stick my toes in briefly. Yeah. Have you ever, as a DM, not necessarily disagreed with your player, but like, have you ever done your own optimization of a player's character? Like if you looked at a character that one of your players has and gone, I think they would do really well as this.
I've been a player and done optimization of other players' characters and just never brought it up.
That counts.
Totally done that. Yeah. It's like, oh man, I would play it with this. you know?
Does one come to mind? I mean, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
You know, I think most recently, I might have done something like that with the Kensei monk character that I was talking about some episodes ago, and then the player of that character went and took the feat anyway.
Oh, nice.
It's like we're on the same wavelength, you know? So like
that's cool.
Like, good.
Thank God you're smart. But yeah, I think that's just something that's really funny. Like I haven't done it very much as a DM because for the most part, when I think like, oh, this would be super cool for this character to do this, I usually text the player.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, would you be interested in doing something like this with your character? And usually they go, hell yeah. So it doesn't feel too much like I'm railroading them because I'm like, options?
Yeah.
Options.
Rarely is anyone going to turn down a free feat, but especially when it fits so well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love doing shit like that. Graze. You need a melee weapon with the heavy property again. If your attack roll with this weapon misses a creature, you can deal damage to that creature anyway, equal to the ability modifier you use to make the attack roll. This damage is the same type dealt by the weapon, and the damage can't be increased in any way other than increasing the ability modifier.
That's so cool.
That's fine.
Yeah, I love that.
It's so good.
And this is honestly something else that I was going to bring up from Baldur's Gate. Yet again, y'all are going to get so sick and tired of me fucking saying that in this episode. There are some weapons in Baldur's Gate that have, I don't think it's this exact name of the ability, but they specifically say, when you miss with an attack, this weapon deals X amount of damage anyway. And I was like, that's awesome.
That's great.
Because it basically just means, yeah, you didn't hit them where you wanted to, but like your weapon is big enough, bulky enough, whatever it may be, that you still did something.
Is that mechanic like used in the same way?
Okay. When you miss with an attack, it still deals damage equal to
I guess mastery properties aren't a thing in that game.
Oh, I see.
Is it just like assigned to certain weapons?
Yes, it is just assigned to certain
Interesting.
weapons.
Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for the way that game doesn't require like attunement or really growth with weapons of any kind.
Right. And the other thing to remember too for Baldur's Gate, it only goes up to level 12.
Yeah.
So you don't have as much opportunity to take feats. So they took a lot of the more like you have to invest into this feat, and they just put them on weapons and things that it was easy enough to do that.
They're like, time is short. You deserve this.
Yeah.
And yeah, your playthrough will be 100 hours.
Oh, if your playthrough's not 100 hours, like, please tell me you were doing a speed run.
That's so insane to me, dude.
Yeah, if you get through that in less than 100 hours just by like, here I go, off to do the thing, and you just randomly finish it that fast, I'm scared of you. Like, that's, man, you must have the most neurotypical, like, brain ever. Like, you must not know what ADHD means. Because for me, looking at that map, I'm like, there's still shadows in the fog of war sections of the map. I can't move on yet. What's in that little corner? I didn't clear that pixel.
Yeah. Yeah. The most terrifying thing to me, like the week after the game first came out, was hearing that the amount of people that had finished the main campaign was a number in the hundreds.
Yeah. A week after it came out.
I still don't know if I totally believe that. That's completely insane to me.
Well, I believe it. I really do. Because I think specifically when it comes to Act 3 in the game, Act 1 is awesome. There's so much going on. You can fairly easily just hit the main quest points and get through Act 1 in a matter of hours.
Mm-hmm.
Act 2, a little more complicated, but again, you have one singular goal. And if you are of a singular mind, you can skip everything else and probably make it through Act 2 in a matter of several hours.
Mm-hmm.
Act 3, good luck. You got to go find it.
Yeah.
You don't even know what it is you're trying to find.
Wow.
You just go in and eventually there's something happening that you need to do. You can't one-track mind Act 3.
That's fun.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So many of the quests are interconnected.
Yeah. I was so stunned by that because the player numbers are huge and have been huge since the launch.
Yeah. And only 100 in 7 days.
A few hundred people in 7 days.
And the number of people, the number of hours collectively people spent in character creation was over 100,000.
I did see that. It's so funny.
That was hilarious.
Oh, that's so wild, man. Hard to believe.
Mm-hmm.
The Nick property. This only requires a light weapon. When you make an extra attack of the light property, you can make it as part of the attack action instead of as a bonus action. So this frees up your bonus action. You can only make this extra attack once per turn. That ain't bad. Just move it from bonus to an extra attack.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Love that. I'm going to distract again for another 30 seconds because in reaching for a handful of Myconites, I believe I found a shark tooth.
Dog.
You should show that to the camera.
It's not going to be in focus, but like you found like the amber relic from Skyward Sword.
We got a messed up Myconite. I'm not eating that. That scares me.
It looks weird, man. I don't like that.
Anyway.
It was left in the machine a bit too long and then fell out by chance.
Yeah. Yeah. But
push requires heavy two-handed or versatile property. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can push the creature up to 10 feet straight away from yourself if it is large or smaller.
Ooh, not requiring a save of any kind is real good.
This is great, and it only has it has only one prerequisite, but a choice between 3 different ones, which is very crazy.
Yeah. Versatile is probably going to be the one most used for this with like a longsword or something. I guess it depends on, does the longsword have that?
Yeah.
It does not. What has push? The pike has push.
The pike has push.
Oh, that's sick.
All heavy weapons having access to this is really, really good.
Well, my question is, do all heavy weapons have access to this? Or do the weapons only have the mastery option that's listed on the weapon table?
Each weapon has a mastery property as shown. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're totally right.
I would hope that there's a way to gain additional mastery feats or like replace them or something.
I think I get why there's not, to be honest.
I wonder if that's like just a straight up fighter thing. Because I feel like there should be a way for you to use different masteries with different weapons if you like practice with them. Because like
right,
longsword, if you have a lot of strength, you should be able to push someone with a longsword.
Maybe maybe, but it would be much harder to do so necessarily, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why I think it should be locked behind, like, you have to get, like, an additional feat or a certain level of fighter kind of thing.
No, I get where you're coming from.
But yeah, anyway. The push mastery feat is just really good.
Mm-hmm. Sap. You need versatile or no weapon property. If you hit a creature with this weapon, that creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll before the start of your next turn.
Wow. These are really good.
These are really powerful.
That's so cool.
Uh-huh. I think, you know what an interesting magic effect would be for a magic weapon is this weapon has its mastery property.
Yes.
Regardless of whether your character does.
Uh-huh. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great, super easy enchantment to throw on something. Yeah. Also, I did find the answer to our question.
Mm-hmm.
If a game feature lets you replace a weapon's mastery property with a different one, that weapon must meet any prerequisite specified for the new property.
Okay. Yeah.
So they start with the mastery that's listed on the weapon table, but there are ways to swap those out.
Okay, so this is why they give the prerequisites at all.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Slow. No prerequisites. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to the creature, you can reduce its speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. If you hit the creature more than once with this property, the speed reduction does not exceed 10 feet.
Oh, man. They said no to the fighter.
No prerequisites, though.
No prerequisites. That's nice.
The first one I saw when I looked up to see what has this is whip. And that rules.
Yes, that is amazing.
I think that's correct. What else has this? Club has this. That's very interesting to me.
And the sling.
The sling.
You bop their kneecaps with a rock. You can just woo, woo, woo.
Like a pebble to the knee.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that has it. Oh, javelin. That makes sense. If you throw a javelin at someone, it's probably hanging off of their body at some point.
That makes sense to me. That's a big old thing sticking out of you. It's not just an arrow. Topple. Requires heavy, reach, or versatile again.
Twisted. Topple. Sorry.
What in the world made you think of that? Pop it. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can force the creature to make a con save throw with a DC equal to 8 plus your proficiency bonus, plus the ability modifier used to make this attack roll. On a failed save, the creature has the prone condition. That's about what you would expect it to be.
Yeah. There's nothing surprising in there, but it's just still good.
Yep. Vex is peculiar to me. There's no R there. Vex is peculiar to me. Requires ammunition, finesse, or light. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to the creature, you have advantage on your next attack roll against that creature before the end of your next turn.
Whoa.
That's really... It's a little bizarre. If I'm getting hit with a crossbow, I'm flinching and putting myself in a disadvantageous position.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get it.
I get it. Also, I'm thinking of how ungodly annoying that's going to be with rogue multi-classes.
Yes. Yes. I actually do think this makes the most sense for finesse weapons.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think Vex, it makes sense for it to be on firearms, because that was the one that I saw plastered all over the weapon table.
Yep.
Was firearms have Vex, firearms have Vex.
Yeah.
But imagine a rogue monk multi-class that wields short swords, because short swords are monk weapons.
Sheesh. All right.
Yeah. And short swords have the Vex property.
Oh my God.
So you unlock the mastery, you hit them with the first one, then you have advantage on the second one. There's your sneak attack.
Yeah.
And then you can key point flurry of blows, stunning strike.
Yeah.
That could get dirty.
That's so good.
That could get dirty.
Yeah. Man, you have advantage so often with that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's funny. I'm all the way into that.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, these are changes that I love. One of the part that I hate most about creating any new character is deciding like, what weapon do I want? Because the weapons table, especially when you're creating a low level character, is not interesting.
No, it's
Now,
so sad.
Granted, like the interesting shit comes from the magic weapons that you're going to pick up later on in a campaign. But I feel so often that it should stand to reason that I can do something kind of cool and kind of unexpected with the weapon that I'm using. And that's not available to me or in my purview necessarily right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good way to handle that.
I do too. I think the other thing that it does really well is it starts to fix the problem of weapons being different names for the exact same effect.
Yep.
Because like we had the whole like pike, glaive, halberd, lance, anything in that range was a 10-foot reach, same
damage types,
same damage type, same damage dice, 10-foot reach, heavy two-handed weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, do you want a glaive, halberd, lance, pike? And you would just say, I like the name glaive.
Yeah.
So I'm going with that one.
Mm-hmm.
But now all of them have a different mastery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Also, just heavy and light give you so much to consider.
Yeah.
Like, you know, with heavy, like it's a requirement, first of all, to be able to really use it well. You know, if you're picking that, like you want to be able to use it well. So it's more character specific and it feels more purposeful.
Yeah.
And then with light stuff, especially finesse light stuff, you're like, well, am I the pretentious fencer? You know, like, should I be able to hit you twice in a round at level 1? Like, yes, I should.
Well, because that's the other thing too. I don't know if variant human is still going to be a thing in OneD&D, but if it is, and you get to start with a feat, and you start with weapon mastery, whatever, you can just pick up whatever weapon you want and use its mastery at level 1.
Yeah.
As a variant human.
Mm-hmm.
I think this, like I said before, this is a step in the right direction. I don't think this is the end goal for how weapons should look in D&D.
Yeah.
I think there's more tweaking to be made and more things to discover. But I like this because it's starting to make martial characters feel like they have close to as many options as spellcasters.
Mm-hmm. Have to agree. Yeah. This is one of the things that makes me really, I don't know about excited yet, but really interested to try this out when OneD&D, happens and is released in some form.
Yeah.
And there are other things that make me a little less than excited, but it's also like just the playtest, and there's one thing that I really wanted to get to today, but we're a little out of time for it. But just to give you a teaser, I'm not all the way happy with the counterspell changes.
Yep. We will save that for next week.
Yep.
But don't touch that dial.
Thank you very much for watching Summon Greater Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to send us your homebrew or your concerns with OneD&D or your frustrations with Wizard, as they are many, please write into us. We want to hear all that stuff and talk about it. Send your stuff to @SummonGreater on Twitter or summongreaterpod@gmail.com. We would love to talk about all of your dreams. We also plan to be in them tonight. Good night.